Hello and welcome to the Global Poker League, and welcome to our new strategy segment where we put our guest hosts through their paces looking at a key hand from the GPL. This hand we're going to look at involves Timothy Adams of the Rome Emperors and Wayne Zhang of the Hong Kong Stars. Just to set the scene, Timothy Adams 2-0 up in this game, really kind of getting the better of things. This was almost could say was a sort of the hand that sort of signified an attempted fight back by Wayne Zhang. Jonathan's going to take us through it. Jonathan, what was particularly interesting about this hand?
Well, let's take a look. So the blinds are 500, 1,000. Let's see what they get dealt. We have two very premium hands, right? And notice Zhang only has 35 big blinds. This is a spot where many people just get it all in pre-flop, but sometimes they don't. So Timothy elects to raise to 2,200, which is perfectly fine. And now Zhang needs to 3-bet. He has a great hand. He wants to be aggressive with his good hands. So he makes it 6,500. And now, at this point, Timothy has to ask himself, do I re-raise all in or do I just call? I think a lot of people who doubt their playing abilities, their post-flop abilities, just decide to go all in immediately because King Queen's pretty good. But Timothy does decide to just call and see a flop, which is something you'll see a lot of the best players do. They don't want to be playing these giant all-in pots. So flop comes ace 4-3, two hearts, not really good for pocket jacks. I mean, you're pretty unhappy when an ace or a king comes when you have pocket jacks. So this is a spot where a lot of players are checking because if they bet and get called, they're usually not loving it. This is one of the few hands that Zhang could bet with and conceivably get called by this exact king high, but I like the check here. And he's checking here mainly because if he doesn't want to be putting a lot of money in this pot. If it gets checked down, he has the best hand a ton of the time, but if he like bets the flop and bets the turn, well, he'll just always beat. So he checks, and after a bit of thought, Timothy does check behind because for the same reasons. If Timothy has the best hand and it checks down, he's probably going to win. And if he doesn't, well, he doesn't want to put any more money in the pot. So great turn for Timothy, another horrible turn for Zhang. Zhang's going to check, and now after a bit of thought, Timothy has to decide if he should value bet. And this is a spot where if you are very confident that your opponent would always bet if they had an ace, this king queen is effectively the nuts, right? I mean, if your opponent does not have an ace, king queen's good. So Timothy should certainly consider going for value here. It's a very clean spot to bet, and I like it. So the pot's 13,200. In this spot, you don't want to bet too big because if you do get check raised and you're Timothy, you're not loving this scenario. You are probably gonna have to fold if you get check raised, but at the same time, you want to bet to get money in the pot, also to charge various hands like pocket jacks, like pocket fives that maybe 3-bet, maybe hands like king jack that somehow got there. So
we're going to see it when he
does bet 6,500.
Does elect to bet,
and notice it's not too big.
Yeah, and I think we find that the Wayne Zhang does elect to check raise this spot.
Well, he just calls on the turn.
Yes.
Because if he check raises here, he's just really turning his hand into a bluff. And there's no reason to turn the hand into a bluff yet, at least. This is a spot where if one bet goes in the pot after the flop, whenever you re-raise with a hand like jacks and it comes ace something something, if one bet goes in the pot, you're happy enough. But if 2 or 3 bets go in the pot, you're usually not very happy. So I don't fault Zhang for the call here. This is obviously a bad board for him, though. So this is one of the weaker hands he should probably be sticking around with. So I don't mind the call in this spot. He's giving it some thought. Always want to give it some thought. And the river is a 10. So now if Zhang bets, again, he doesn't want to bet because if he bets, he's always going to get called by an ace or a king. So there's no point in betting whatsoever. So he's going to check. And then after that, Timothy has to decide if he wants to go for value again. So what can Timothy get value from if he bets? I actually remember commentating in the stream that I would probably not value bet this, but you do see a lot of the best players in the world going for thin value in this spot. Here we are on the river. Timothy is again deciding if he wants to go for value. And he's really just trying to get called by king jack, pocket queens, pocket jacks, maybe a hand like queen 10 or jack 10. And I don't even know if Zhang's going to be calling with a 10. And you have to think he's a bit of a calling station to call with a hand like pocket jacks. So I would not have bet in this spot, but Timothy does go for the thin value, and that is what a lot of the best players in the world do. Notice he goes very small, 4,500 into this 2,600 chip pot. So now Zhang has to put in 4,500 to win this, what's going to be a 35,000 chip pot, so he needs to win 1 in 7 times or so. And that's what a lot of people look at. They think I need to win 1 in 7 times, so I guess I have to call. But Zhang recognizes correctly that he has 2 very nice blockers here with his jacks. it makes it very unlikely that Timothy has exactly queen jack for the nuts. So
this is where he elects to check raise.
This is where he decides to check raise. This is where he gets after it, he goes for the bluff, and it is an incredibly sweet play. So the real question is, how much should he check raise? What looks the strongest to a player like Timothy? I think Timothy got the vibe that Zhang was just pretty in line, not doing anything silly, and playing, I'm not gonna say 100% face up, but straightforward enough, especially on the turn and the river. So I think I probably would have gone all in this spot just to really be sure that he folds out something like ace 7. But Zhang does 15,550, which is a perfectly fine play. It looks very strong. My one concern here is that now Timothy's getting really good odds. He has to put in 10,000 to try to win 46,000, so he needs to win 20-something% of the time. And he's not going to, well, maybe he will with king queen. I mean, clearly Zhang's bluffing, so if he ever has bluffs, maybe it's just an easy call. But this is a spot where Zhang has took a very odd line, and when someone takes a kind of bizarre line like that, they're either really, really strong or really, really weak. And it's actually pretty hard for Zhang to be very weak on this board, given he 3-bet pre-flop, especially since he was not 3-betting very often pre-flop. So, as expected, Timothy goes into the tank for what feels like ages. But he eventually does find the fold, and that was a very sweet bluff for Zhang, and it got him right back in the game. And even though he lost the round 2-1, he got that one and did not get swept. Or did he get swept?
He did get swept.
He did get swept, yeah. I'm sorry.
It was a sweep night on the GPL.
He gave himself the opportunity to not get swept, at least, by getting right back in the game. As you see, he now has the chip lead, 55,000. But from there, he could not hold on to it. But he was fighting, right? He was in a spot where he very easily could have been demoralized because he was down 2-0, but he was still fighting and doing his best to win. So good job by Zhang, fighting as hard as he possibly could.
Thank you, Jonathan Little. That's the end of this segment. Thanks you for joining us, and join us next time when we ask the pros for a deep insight into a hand from the GPL. Adios. Connect with us on social media for league updates and download our app, GPL TV, to stay on top of everything GPL.